Hello, and welcome to the ASMR Trigger Clinic. Feel free to take a seat. Okay, so you're here today because you have never experienced tingles. Is that correct? Okay. So the way that these sessions work here at the ASMR Clinic is that we help people who have never experienced tingles before feel their first tingles. We do this by testing different popular and common triggers on each of our clients. The reason we do this is because some people feel ASMR much more easily in person than they do from watching ASMR videos. And so we want as many people as possible to feel ASMR and the tingles that come along with it. So, would you like to begin your first ASMR trigger session? Great. So, you do have a pair of headphones next to you. So, for some of the triggers, you may need your headphones, and I'll let you know which of those triggers you will need them for. Okay. So one of the most common triggers that people experience ASMR from is tapping. And so today I am going to be tapping on different objects, and then we'll move on to the next triggers. Okay. The first tapping trigger is plastic. Let me know what you think about this on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being no tingles, 10 being maximum tingles. And I will create a personal ASMR trigger sheet for you so that you may refer back to it when you are unsure as to what triggers your ASMR. So now I will continue this trigger silently. Okay, and what did you think of that trigger? Okay. And now we are going to move on to the next tapping trigger. And what did you think about that trigger? Okay. trigger is this hollow metal flask. Okay, and what did you think about that one? Okay, so now we're going to move on to fabric scratching. This is another popular ASMR trigger. So this is a small cushion, and I'm going to scratch on it. Okay, and what did you think of that one? Okay. Next, I have a sponge. The sound is similar, but slightly sharper and more hollow. Okay, what do you think of that one? Okay. Another popular trigger is glove sounds. So I'm going to make some sounds with these individually and then wearing them briefly. Okay, and what did you think of that? Okay. And now we're going to focus on the sound of putting on the glove. Alright, what did you think of that trigger? Okay. Next, I would like you to put on your headphones for me, please. Okay. And now I am going to be brushing the microphones that I have beside me. You'll be able to hear the trigger in your ears, okay? I'm going to start with a brush. Okay. And I'm going to brush the other microphone because some people feel tingles in specific parts of the body. Some people feel ASMR in their left side or the right side. You might experience ASMR on one particular side. Okay. And what do you think about microphone brushing? Okay. could keep your headphones on, I'm now going to be using a feather on the microphone. So this is a little bit more of a crinkled texture. Okay, and to the other side. Okay, and what did you think of the feather? Okay, so now I'm going to stroke the microphones. And to the other side. And what did you think of that one? Okay, and now I'm going to do microphone scratching. So I'm going to bring my nails down the microphone. This tends to have the harshest sound, but a lot of people tend to like that. Okay, and what did you think of that? Okay. So you can remove your headphones now. So another common section of ASMR that typically triggers people's tingles is mouth sounds. And mouth sounds can include barely intelligible whispers, gum chewing, word repetition, just gentle whispering. So I'm going to begin with some typical trigger words. Trigger words are words that would most commonly trigger people's ASMR. Okay? So I'm going to do this soft-spoken and whispered, just to give you the feel of both, but most people do this whispered. Relax, 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 relax. Good, 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 good. Okay, 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 okay. Relax, 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 relax. Good, 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 good. Okay, 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 okay. And what did you think of that trigger? Okay. So some people find instruction reading to be very relaxing and sometimes tingly. So I'm going to bring up the instructions on how you play the game Solitaire. Deal 1 card face up and 6 cards face down in a horizontal line. On the second card, deal a card face up and 5 cards face down, 1 on each of the other cards. Then deal a card face up on the third pile and 4 cards face down, 1 on each of the other piles. deal a card face up on the fourth pile and 3 cards face down, one on each of the other piles. Deal a card face up on the 5th pile and 2 cards face down, one on each of the other piles. Deal a card face up on the 6th pile and a card face down on the 7th pile. Deal a card face up on the 7th pile. And now I'm going to move on to whispering. Move cards around in 3 ways. 1. By playing cards of a different color on top of a card that is 1 number higher. 2. By playing cards onto the foundation piles. Foundation piles are started with the ace in each suit and can be played on in sequence up to the king in each suit. 3. Reveal a card from the deck. Cards can be revealed one at a time for easier gameplay, or reveal every 3rd card for a more challenging game. Continue to move cards around in these 3 ways until all cards are moved to the foundation piles. Win, or there are no more moves to be made. Lose. So that is how you play solitaire. What did you think of those triggers? Okay. Another common trigger that is a mouth sound and a word is sk. That was introduced to the ASMR community by the lovely Heather Feather. So I'm going to repeat the trigger word sk to you. Sk, 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 sk. Okay, so what did you think of that trigger, soft-spoken and whispered? Okay. So now I am going to be doing some inaudible whispers. Inaudible whispers are words that you cannot understand. Okay? Okay, and what did you think of that one? Okay, so now I'm going to move on to a light trigger. Some people enjoy following a light, and they can experience ASMR from visual triggers as opposed to auditory ones. So, if you don't mind, if you could just follow this light, okay? And just try to keep your head still, nice, calm and relaxed. I'm just going to go up and down and left and right with the light. Some people find this very relaxing and very tingly. Okay. Some people also like instructions that are included with it, such as left, and right, left, and right, up, down, left, and right. Okay. think of that trigger? Okay. So the next section that we are going to move on to for common ASMR triggers is hand-focused sounds. So I'm going to begin by simply rubbing my hands together. This is another common ASMR trigger. Okay, what did you think of that one? Okay. Another common ASMR trigger is finger flickering, where you just move your fingers against one another up and down. Okay, what did you think of that one? Okay, and another one that people like, similarly to following a light, is following a finger for those that don't like bright lights. So if you just follow my finger the same way you did the light, up, down, up, down, left, right, left, right, left, right, up, down, up, down. Okay. And what did you think of that one? Okay. And another trigger that is very popular is the sound of scissors. So I'm going to create that for you today. Okay. Okay. And what did you think of that one? Okay. So a very popular trigger is keyboard typing. So I actually have to type up some of your answers to today's triggers anyway, so I'm going to do that now. And you just focus on the sounds as I do so. Okay, what did you think of that trigger? Okay, so another common ASMR trigger is crinkling. But this one is a little bit different as this has crinkling in plastic with beads, so it has a hollow metal sound. think of that one? Okay. So, another trigger. We'll get to those ones in a second. That is very popular is sticky tapping. So some people don't like nail tapping, they like finger pad tapping. And it makes this sort of sticky sound when you tap, like this on certain objects. Okay. What did you think of that trigger? Okay. So it seems that you are experiencing some forms of ASMR so far, so that's good. Okay. So another popular ASMR trigger is controller sounds. Let's go to dust this one off. Okay. So some people really like the assorted sounds that a controller makes. I guess the sporadic nature of button bashing. So I'll let you focus on this sound. Okay. And what did you think of that trigger? Okay. So another popular trigger that people like is bubble wrap. A lot of people anyway enjoy the feeling of bubble wrap. But for you, I'm going to focus on the purely crinkling of bubble wrap. Because of its very crinkly texture. Okay, what did you think of that one? Okay, so another trigger that people like is zippers. What do you think of that one? Okay. So another trigger that people like is lid capping, where you remove the lid of an item and swirl it around the top of the object. This is one of my personal favourite ASMR triggers. do that now with a different object. It's interesting because whilst you may not like a certain trigger, you may like it on a different object. Okay, what did you think of that one? Okay, so now we're going to move on to a couple of exploratory triggers. These are triggers that are more of a niche or a very unusual sound that some experience tingles from. So this is a plastic ball. And I'm going to create a couple of different sounds with this today. So we have the hollow, sticky sound. And the tapping. This creates a bassy, hollow sound. Okay, what did you think of the ball? Okay, so now we are going to be moving on to another slightly more uncommon ASMR trigger, and that is makeup product pumping. This is where you remove the top of the makeup product from the casing, and it creates a sticky sound like this. I'm using a lip gloss for this because you shouldn't really do this with mascaras because it can dry them out. Okay. And what did you think of that trigger? Okay. So another trigger that some people like is water bubbling and splishing. So this is a little bit more of a delicate sound. This is also a visual trigger for some people. Okay, what did you think of that trigger? Okay, so the next triggers focus on page flipping. So I'm going to begin with thicker pages from a book with quick page flipping. slow page flipping. Individual page flipping. And some people prefer the sounds of more of a glossy magazine. So I'm now going to just move these props out of the way. So now I'm going to be moving on to another more of a niche ASMR trigger, and that is whiteboard writing. So I'm going to write a few words down. Okay, so I just wrote down some simple words. Hello, good, tingle, star, and moon. So HELLOGLOSSARMON. Okay. And what did you think of those triggers with the whiteboard? Okay. So another popular ASMR trigger is scratching different surfaces. I think this is a very good prop to display that. think of that one? Okay. So another more of a niche ASMR trigger is the sound of Velcro. I have these little Velcro strips right here. I'm going to peel them away from each other. I'm going to reassemble them. Some people also like watching people do fairly menial tasks. That can be more of an unintentional ASMR trigger. Okay, so what did you think about that? Okay, so now I'm going to be moving on to a couple of personal attention triggers. This is a very popular trigger both in real life and in ASMR videos. So I'm going to take this fluffy brush and I'm going to brush it down your face. Is that alright? Okay. Some people like this trigger to be silent. Some people like it accompanied by trigger words. It's just dependent on the person. So let's do this silently for a second. And with trigger words, brush, 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 brush. Okay. And some people like the trigger that is plucking. Sometimes with just the fingers, sometimes with tweezers. Of course, I won't be literally using these on you today, but it's that delicate personal attention and delicate sound of them being close to you that some people find to be tingling. Okay? Again, sometimes accompanied with the word pluck. Pluck, 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 pluck. Okay. What did you think about the face brushing and the plucking? Okay. Another common personal attention trigger that people like is invisible scratching or raking. So that's when you go scratch, 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 scratch. Okay, so what did you think of that trigger? Okay. And another trigger that some people like is more of, again, an unintentional ASMR trigger, but we're going to be intentionally doing that today. This trigger is measuring. different parts of people's bodies are measured. So I'm going to measure completely randomly your face. For no reason at all. But this can be a trigger for some people. Okay. So another trigger that I have to show you is ceramic tapping. This has a lot more of a hollow sound, but in a lot of cases not as hollow as glass. And another more of an exploratory niche trigger is the sound of water beads being rustled around. Let me know what you think of this. Okay, so what did you think of that trigger? Okay, so that is all of the ASMR triggers that I have to show you for today's ASMR trigger tingle session. So from what you rated each of the triggers, it seems like you did experience tingles today, is that correct? Very good. And it seems that you experienced those tingles from 5 different triggers, so that's excellent news. So how did the tingles feel? Where did you experience them? Very good. And they were in different places with each trigger. That's very interesting. So now you will have an idea of what to look for in ASMR videos online. It's very good to hear. So if you would like, you can always come back for another trigger session where I can introduce to you another variety of different ASMR triggers, some common again and some more obscure like some of the ones you heard and saw today. Well, thank you so much for visiting us today, and I hope that you continue to feel those tingles. Take care. Goodbye.